sky so far, but I can't lose it.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
To be the best, one must beat the best. Ovals, road courses, the streets of iconic cities, race after race, the top sim racing IndyCar stars will battle it out. In sim racing, it doesn't get any better than this. This is their battleground, for the checkered flag, for the glory, for the right to say they are the best. The cars and stars of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, presented by Buttkicker, are ready to race.
This week marks the 10-year passing of the Lionheart Dan Wheldon. In his short time as part of the IndyCar paddock, Dan won 2 Indy 500s and a championship. Just months after his second Indianapolis title, Dan took on a challenge for $5 million. Unfortunately, Wheldon's charge came to an end. A fan favorite, Dan's loss sent a shockwave through the paddock. 10 years on, his legacy persists in so many ways. His family, friends, and fans all ensure that. The Lionheart Racing Series has been paying tribute to Wheldon for 7 years, and today is no different. Dan was a rare breed of driver, the kind of person this world could use more of. Thank you, Dan. Hello and welcome to the tricky triangle for the HyperX Pocono 200 for coverage of round 18 in the Lionheart Racing Series. My name is Arjuna Kenkipati, joined today by Lorenzo Bonder. You can follow along with live timing and scoring by heading to racespot.tv/Indy, powered by our partners at ATVO. Pocono is such a fantastic venue, but of course we race here with heavy hearts. Dan was a great man, one remembered by so many people. His children continue that Weldon legacy of racing, part of the Andretti development program. Lorenzo, let's talk a little bit then about what 2021 has been about so far. Adam Blocker and his quest for a fourth consecutive Lionheart IndyCar title. He has been dominant on occasion. Yes, he's missed a couple of races recently with his real-world commitments, but with just 5 races left to do, Blocker one hand on the championship.
Yeah, Blocker one hand in the championship. It is a very good cushion that he has for Connor Harrington, right about 100 points that he had on Connor Harrington, and only 3 ovals to go, 2 in the road. This is the last of the regular season. I put air quotes on regular because you still have Auto Club as your last of the Triple Crown event, so it is double points. So you need to make up the ground here if you really want to be on contention whenever you go to Auto Club.
And it's a busy month of October. Back-to-back races. Last week, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, we saw a very interesting race there. I think that's to put it mildly. Mosport, such a fantastic facility, and really did deliver a treat as we paid tribute to Patrick Taylor. Here's a look at your butt kicker driver standings. Adam Blocker, like we said, once you factor in the drop weeks, it's a 22 race season. You get to drop, I think it's 3 of your lowest scores. Blocker has already used 2 of them by virtue of missing the 2 races as the NTT IndyCar Series came to an end. Blocker trackside as his responsibilities with Ilmore wrapped up for the year. But other than that, he's been impervious since September of last year. His top 5 streak dates back all the way to 2020 on a race at Chicagoland last year. Harrington, 100 points back. Henry Bennett, as a result of some end-of-line penalties, has now been chased on down by Andrew Kinsella and Joshua Chin. Ryan Otis, that battle for third really shaping up nicely. Been an impressive season from the rookies up and down through the field. Mike Rasmussen, Matt Taylor, and Aaron Morgan, 3 drivers fighting for a Lionheart Retro Series title. Also putting on pretty strong performances in the IR18. Let's take a look at our team standings powered by HyperX, because the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. It's been about the private label Team Hype show so far in 2021, Lorenzo. And now that they've got Phil Krause to help them out, he's not going to be adding to the points totals, at least for that respective organization. What he does do is steal points away from Adrenaline Motorsports Red as they try, as hard as they will, to try and close that gap between first and second.
Yeah, and last time by, they got 26 points. And I mean, the efforts that Joshua Chin and Connor Harrington did, of course, Brophy tried to have a good race, had a little bit of a blunder in the first few laps, so couldn't help out the team as much as he wanted to. But having Philip Krause winning Mosport, it basically goes into a fourth factor of, you know, that uphill battle that Adrenaline Motorsports Red is trying to face. So it's still a very, very long climb they have to do. It's doable, but they need to basically be on max points from now on if they want to contend for the top spot.
It's going to be tough. I think that's to put it mildly at this point in the season, with just 5 races left to go, including our action here today. Here's a look at your rookie standings presented by Buttkicker. Henry Bennett has managed to build up an advantage, at least in this one. Close battle for him, 3rd in that overall Drivers' Championship. Jason Brophy, Mike Rasmussen, Matt Taylor, 100-plus points back on the British driver. Be an interesting end to this season. We've also got Phil Krause, who, despite the fact he's only been in the season for what feels like a couple of races, he's really put on a show so far. And for Krause, it's been a very strong run since he debuted in this season. He's done 5 races so far, already worked his way up into 10th position. Let's take a look then at your series details presented by Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of a breathable polyspandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz, and don't forget to use the promo code minus273LHRS15 for 15% off all orders. We are in our 9th season of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, now driving the Dallara IR18. It's a custom-fixed setup designed by one of the newest members of RaceSpot, Andrew Kinsella, but of course you have the in-car tooled front and rear anti-roll bar adjustments, as well as the weight jacket to help move that balance of the car around, moves weight up and down the lateral axis on the machine. Triple Crown races, that's what you were mentioning, Lorenzo. Just one more left, and that's crucial. It's our season finale, and it's a double points race where really a good performance there might swing things around.
It might swing things around, Arjuna, but I think most importantly is one of the 3 longest races of the season. The Triple Crown are the 3 longest races of the season. Therefore, strategy matters more than anything else. And every race prior to this will matter even more. In a race like Pocono, where you have to shift the in-car adjustments basically every single lap because the lap changes, the groove of the track is not the easiest one. The bank is different in all 3 corners. It's going to be really important if you really want to be within that top 5. That I think for top 5 right here is where you want to be if you're relatively around the 2nd to 2 seconds.
And you talk about Pocono as a track. I mean, such a challenging one. It's not called the Tricky Triangle for naught. Before we talk more about the track, let's talk about our event details. It's a 9th trip to the Pocono Mountains and the track known as the Tricky Triangle. So much history of IndyCar American open wheel racing. We're racing on the corner of Long Pond and Andretti Road. 8 races, 8 different winners. It is a track where anything can happen, and by virtue of that, only once have we seen Paul visit HyperX Victory Lane. It's a race that's also going to see, I think, a fair amount of stop and start. It's a interesting track to challenge yourself with. 5 cautions, our lowest number. That was in Season 2 and last year, so bit of a preview given that the car has undergone so many changes since the IR18 was debuted on the iRacing service. Most cautions all the way back in Season 1. 14. Respect the 14. Let's hope we don't get that here today. Defending race winner, it was Mike Rigney who picked up his one and only Lionheart Racing IndyCar Series win here 12 months ago. What can he do to defend that race win? So let's talk about this racetrack, Lorenzo. No 4 corners here. It says on the outside of turn 3, what turn 4? 2.5 miles. It is a super speedway, and the speeds are indeed super. Each of the 3 corners very, very different. Turn 1, 14 degrees of banking. Turn 2, 8 degrees of banking. Turn 3, 6 degrees of banking. So the banking reduces as you come around the course, but it's a track where you may see cars getting on the brakes over the course of a run here. Tires are going to be crucial in what is a long race. 80 laps, fuel window 23 to 24 laps. So it might be a fuel save race if we go green all the way to the end.
Yeah, if we don't get a early yellow flag, and that's Lorenzo already jinxing this race already, Arjuna. But it's going to be, I think, Andrew Kinsella, when we had a talk with him, put it best. You know, it's going to be who can get that undercut early and then manage the tires, because you need to get that clean air. You need to look for that clean air, especially when you go into turn number 1 and 3, where I think it's going to be the key ones for you to make the overtake. Don't take 2 away as well. 2 away can actually drift your car and steer it into the wall, and it comes up quickly. But I think of all corners, you need to watch that number 3, because that's where you want to make the key move to the victory, and it's not an easy one to make.
It has been a couple of years since IndyCar came here, of course. In recent memory, you think more of the crashes that we've seen here. Of course, Robert Wickens had a horrific accident a couple of years ago. The year after that, we came back and, well, carnage in that very same Turn 2 complex. And each of these turns has been modeled after a different facility. Turn 1 modeled after the Trenton Speedway. Turn 2 modeled after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Turn 3 after the Milwaukee Mile. 2 of the corners represented already on the Lionheart IndyCar Series schedule here in 2021. And guess who took victory in both of those races? your Lionheart King, Adam Blocker. So, going to be a tall order, at least if you ask me, to try and stop Blocker from taking the victory here today. But qualifying underway, and it might be a very crucial qualifying. Let's see how things play out with just about 3 minutes left on the qualifying clock. Drivers get the track to themselves. 2 flying laps to set their fastest trip around the 2.5 miles at the Pocono Raceway. Currently, it is Andrew Kinsella, the man who built the setup himself, that's on provisional pole. Brian Carey matches his time. And when we say match, you can see on the timing tower, it's not indicating 1,000th of a second difference between those two drivers. The two Canadians did match their lap times there.
Yeah, I think Kinsella just got away with the pole because he did it first, so whoever gets it first get that privilege to get on top. So it's going to be, again, I think Kinsella also said that qualifying is going to be key over here for you to get that clean air. Of course, you might get affected of burning the fuel quicker than the other drivers, but on the long run, you might actually play it out because you got to look for that long run. But, you're talking about Blocker. He got 2 pole positions right here, but 0 victories at Pocono so far.
Well, let's watch Adam Blocker as he rolls himself through turn 1. This is going to be crucial. Blocker is representing Adrenaline Power Slide by himself, is up there in the team standings, so despite being a one-man organization, his consistency has really seen him be a dominant force this season. Of course, we're in round 18 of the race of the 2021 campaign. Blocker has missed 2 of the races. He's got an incredible, an absolutely astonishing 9 victories this season, but he's going to lose the car out of turn 3, I should say, excuse me. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get himself back around to set a lap time. Blocker is going to be starting from the tail end of the field.
Ooh, and that goes into strategy. He's going to have to, one, move up quickly because you need to position well in this field. And secondly, and most importantly as well, is that you're probably going to have to rely on some shenanigery going to the pit lane. A guy that is not having also good qualifying over here, Connor Harrington, as we're looking on Jason Brophy. So far, Harrington, who needs that good position to close the gap on Adam Blocker, only in 11th place.
Shenaniganry. I think I said that right the second time around. That's a nice word. We may have to fall back on that over the course of the 80 laps, 200 miles here at the Pocono Raceway. Brophy, it must be said, won the final race of the iRacing IndyCar Open Series that we covered on RaceSpottv Season 3 in 2021. As he'll go to provisional 3rd on the timing tower, almost matches times with Michael O'Brien. My word, some of the lap times and the gaps here, really razor-thin margins. So top 5 as it stands, Andrew Kinsella, Brian Carey, Jason Brophy, Michael O'Brien, and Mike Rigney. Robert Malechka, who's had 3 pole positions since joining the series midway through the campaign, sits in 6th as qualifying comes to an end. Let's go trackside in the Pocono Mountains to take a look at our starting grid for the HyperX Pocono 200. And here's a look at our butt kicker starting grid. Andrew Kinsella puts it on pole. He's won here before. He's finished in 2nd before. His first pole position here in the Pocono Mountains. Brian Carey matches Kinsella's lap time. Incredible stuff from Adrenaline Motorsports Red. They're looking to try and challenge private label Team Hype in the Teams Championship, but Jason Brophy doesn't make it easy. He lines up inside of Michael O'Brien. 2 more drivers basically matching lap times. Mike Rigney, Robert Malechka III, 200th of a second separating the top 6 drivers, with Chris Fowler and Ryan Otis 7th and 8th positions. Brian Beard and Ron Hacker complete the top 10. Hacker and Joshua Chin match lap times as well. Incredible stuff here as Chin will line up in 11th alongside race winner last time out Philip Kraus representing the private label Team Hype Black. Stefan Larkamp and Connor Harrington 13th and 14th. Harrington with some work to do if he wants to try and close on Adam Blocker, but of course Blocker starting in the back in the pack. That might help Harrington out in the 44 machine. Matt Taylor and Tyler Graf 15th and 16th, with Chris Lanini back in 17th. Paul Jenkins lines up then on the outside of row number 9. Jason Galvin, the first car to be outside of a 1/10 bubble from our pole position. He lines up 19th alongside Adam Frazier to complete the top 20. Joe Branch and his Coca-Cola machine will be inside of Barrett Rolfe. Another disappointing qualifying for Rolfe, who's been a hard charger on the season so far. Ricky Harding, Mike Rasmas, 23rd and 24th. Henry Bennett will have an end-of-line penalty, but Adam Blocker, that is the big shock. He'll line up at the tail end of the grid after not setting a qualifying lap time. Lionel Calisto, AJ Musselman, and Luis Gonzalez Nunez to round out our 29-car field. So that is the starting grid today. 80 laps on the docket as we take a look then at the onboard cameras, the featured onboard cameras that we'll have today here from the Pocono Mountains. Ryan Otis has the Espo Design onboard camera. Get yourself a racing identity. Mike Rickney has the HyperX onboard camera. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Jason Galvin has the Graphics Esports onboard. World-class design from the real world to virtual. Visit graphicsesports.com. And Chris Fowler, well, he's got the Chris Fowler onboard camera. Join Chris Fowler on his sim racing journey through his live streams. Visit Fowler Racing on Twitch. And already, drama straight away. Something has happened to Jason Brophy. Doesn't look like he'll be taking to the starting grid. Lorenzo, let's get some predictions from you. This is going to be a fascinating one. This is going to be a fun one.
This is going to be a fun one. I would probably want to see a double winner here. So, two-time winner, I'll pick Kinsella.
No racespottv bias there, that's for sure.
Of course.
He's, of course, the man that built the setup here today. Something happened to Jason Brophy. That is the major storyline as we get ready to go racing. Pocono Raceway has seen so many classic races, whether it be Full Metal Motorsport or here on the iRacing service. It plays host to the HyperX Pocono 200 as we go racing in the Pocono Mountains. Great launch from Mike Rigney, already challenging Brian Carey, but Carey will defend and hold on. Michael O'Brien has been shuffled down on the start as they work their way into the tunnel turn. A couple of two wide moments you can see. O'Brien side by side with Brian Beard. Joshua Chin makes it 3 wide on the entry into turn 3. That's what we expect from the King of Chins. Has not enjoyed the campaign that we may have expected from him. Chin might lose the position though to Beard because on the inside you'll lose some momentum as across the line we come for the very first time. Kinsella, Carey and Rigney the top 3. Malechka and Fowler complete the top 5. Incredible stuff here, and we're getting word the second career pole position from Andrew Kinsella. Not necessarily what we expect to qualify well. We know race pace is where he tends to be a little bit stronger.
Yeah, his race pace is really good, and plus he won this race already, so he got the experience to win on this track. But then again, his 80 laps, it is a longer race. If I recall correctly, he won the 300-mile race, so he can win something longer than that. But then again, it's his strategy right here. This might be coming down to fuel mileage, but other than that, field is spreading itself a little bit, so this is going to be interesting. How are we going to break this down?
Mike Rigney, Chris Fowler, looking side by side into turn 1. Ooh, Fowler very aggressively pinching Rigney as they diamond into the corner. We're not necessarily sure how aggressive you want to be early on. Very easy to make a mistake given that we're racing at speeds in excess of 350 kilometers an hour. An absolutely insane racetrack. Jason Brophy has managed to roll himself out. Fortunately has held on to the draft of the main pack, so he's not going to lose too much time. What he has done is lost a whole heap of track position. Here's a look then at your weather conditions for today's action as Phil Kraus gets on past Michael O'Brien. It's 30 degrees in the air, 46 down on the track itself. It's partly cloudy with plenty of wind blowing across the track. Let's see how drivers are going to fare with that one, because wind can be such a crucial thing here, Lorenzo, with three ends of the racetrack being so very different. Staying on top of your tools is going to be crucial.
It's going to be crucial, especially with the wind might be catching you out in turn number 3, where you need to point the car precisely enough to go into the turn, try to carry the line. As you see Chin going to the inside line of Ryan Otis, is going to get the 7th position, and the King of Chin is on a hard charge once again, because he wants to have at least the position where he can contend for a possible undercut. But the wind might not play an effect on the first few laps. I think if we see an effect, it might be right around lap 17 or something within the center, at the tail end.
Chin made a move. His teammate looks to try and follow him up through the field. Side by side with Ron Hacker in towards the tunnel turn. Hacker concedes. Next up for Kraus is your Lionheart Retro Series champion, Ryan Otis, who has made a very impressive jump over into the Dallara IR18. Some gaps forming through the field as Andrew Kinsella, not for the first time in 2021, is having a couple of technical issues. He'll be hoping that they resolve themselves. Not too much drama. Kinsella and Carey, the two Adrenaline Motorsports teammates then, working together. Carey not applying too much pressure. Maybe doing a bit of fuel saving as well. That's going to be crucial in a race like this. Lechka the third sits in 3rd position as well. Very much in this leading group of cars. The gap then to Chris Fowler is at 1 second. Still technically within drafting range, but you don't want to fight too much here, because if you can pull yourself away, might be an advantage to make this a 3-way fight for the race lead. Fowler looking strong. Joshua Chin trying to close on up as well. Connor Harrington is now the next car attacking Ron Hacker. Let's see what he does on the run down into turn number 1.
Yeah, because it needs that good run. He needs to move up as quickly as possible and look not farther behind. Blocker's in 15th, so he needs to make that ground with some, not going to say desperation, but with some haste. I think the better way to say it here, Arjuna. It's going to be an interesting one how Connor goes, as he just shifted to 6th gear, trying to maximize the RPM.
And this is a track where gearing is going to be interesting, because you're going to go up and down through the gears through the 3 different corners. Hacker is going to try and fight this one out, but I don't think he's going to be able to do so. Yeah, and indeed, Harrington slides up the track, but will give the draft now to Ron Hacker. At least for now, Harrington has that position locked and loaded. We were talking about Adam Blocker, already up double digits, plus 11 from where he started. Incredible. Now trying to get on past Stefan Larkamp, the defending champion, who also has one hand on the 2021 trophy. Has a lot of work to try and do if he wants to extend his streak of top 5 finishes. That dates all the way back to Chicagoland in 2020. He's now 5.5 seconds, almost 6 seconds behind your race leader, but never count out Adam Blocker. We've seen what he can do in countless Lionheart races, and not just Lionheart races, but across of the iRacing service. Always a driver that we know can be strong. Chin is trying to challenge Brian Beard. Rigney is trying to challenge Chris Fowler, so there are some battles going on right now, and you can see Joshua Chin slides up the track. That low line through turn 1 is not necessarily where you want to be here, Lorenzo.
No, you're not, because you get no grip. The car gets loose during the banking transition. The car can step out in its rear depending on the RPM. It's in combination with the accelerator, and plus you're scrubbing the tires, right? And you need that grip for the long run. And but at the end of the day, I think Chin might be able to make the move on Brian Beer, and he does.
So move Chin to 6th position. Has worked himself up 5 positions so far. The Kraus house runs that high line, gets himself some clean air, and Otis is going to lose some momentum. Kraus will take full advantage of that. Thank you very much. Kraus now up to 8th and trying to challenge Brian Beard immediately. That's what setting your passes up looks like here at Pocono. Beard is going to try and fight it, but not going to be close enough. Harrington will try and take advantage of all the meleeing that's been going on in front of him. Harrington in front of Otis as well. The private label Team Hype Machine is cutting and carving its way up through the field. And of course, if not for Jason Brophy's technical issue on the start, they would have had a car further up through the running order as well. Let's jump on board with Jason Galvin, race winner at Phoenix earlier this year. Take a look from the graphics esports onboard as he challenges Joe Branch. Barrett Rolfe and Henry Bennett in front of him, side by side as Galvin gets past Branch.
Yeah, and talking about the really quickly of Galvin, really good driver, trying to make up the field a little bit by bit. Again, some of the drivers working that field strategy to get to the end and maybe get a 2-stop race. Some people might go for 3 stops depending on circumstances. It all depends on situations of yellow flags and things like that, Arjuna. So again, this possible field mileage race is going to be an interesting one, how we see this breaking down in the middle of the race. But more importantly, private label Team Hike closing the gap on the Adrenaline Motorsports Red. 2 of the drivers of Adrenaline, P1 and P2.
Harrington is now past Beard as well, so 3 private label Team Hike cars stacked up nose to tail, 6th through 8th, but of course Kraus not awarding points to the main organization after joining late in the 2021 campaign. Henry Bennett has cleared Barrett Rolfe, at least for the time being. Meanwhile, out front, something happened to Andrew Kinsella. Continued technical issues for him, but new race leader. First laps led for Brian Carey at Pocono in what has been a rather treacherous and wretched 2021. Hardware issues have plagued Brian Carey, but now looking comfortable, and out front he will be relishing this opportunity to try and take the race victory here today. Robert Malechka still in pursuit. These 3 cars 1.5 seconds clear of Chris Fowler as Joshua Chin, continuing to make hay while the sun is shining, gets on past Mike Rigney. Next target will be Chris Fowler.
Yeah, he already caught him by at least a 1/10 of a second, and every 1/10 of a second that you get is going to be important. But how does Fowler fight this back? Does he go for the fight back? Apparently he's not going to go for it. Just going to stick right behind the tail wing of Joshua Chin, and again, save that fuel, because saving the fuel is important in this race.
So what, 14 laps into this one? Pretty good start. I'm not going to say anything when it comes to cautions, except to say hopefully we keep this up, because this has been fantastic stuff, even with...
You're leaving that to me.
I know, that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that if anyone gets in trouble for the commentator's curse, it's definitely not me, but we are only 10 laps away from entering that fuel window, and priorities will be made clear at that point in time. If we're looking at a 2-stop race for some of these drivers, they'd have to extend the stint to lap 27 to really be comfortable. And at a 2.5-mile track, that's not the easiest task by any means, as now Barrett Rolfe is having to defend from Joe Branch. Branch on the attack. That Coca-Cola machine looks to the inside. Really, I don't think you want to be on the inside. Branch will slide up the track, gets the move done, but snaking back and forth, here comes Barrett Rolfe.
And Barrett not having the best starts in this race, right? Even though he started the back, we see time and time again Barrett Rolfe being a very, very steady escalator, moving up 1 spot time after time after time, as we see the movement on the inside. I think that is Brophy making the move on Barrett Rolfe.
Couple of cars down onto pit road. Henry Bennett, Chris Lanini, not sure exactly what happened there. Might be some sort of a penalty for the 07 machine, the British Racing Green car. Oh, Chris Lanini.
No, Wayne.
Oh, for which car was that? Oh, you're right.
Bennett.
Big damage for the both of them.
Oof.
Well, the racespottv replay machine catches everything. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened here. And, well, I can tell you it was on the entry to pit lane, that's for sure. Let's see if we can pick this up then in through turn 3. Lanini up the track and into the wall. Well, not much that Henry Bennett could do there. Let's be completely honest. Lanini, an unfortunate one. That's the danger of turn 3. Dirty air is so treacherous, and you can see Lanini just felt confident that he could get the power down. Henry Bennett sees the car, into the wall, up the track, and Bennett down onto pit lane.
My question is, did Bennett get into the pit lane safely?
I don't think it's going to matter too much, because there you can see the car is repaired. I don't necessarily think that car is going to be rolling out back onto the track. Might be heading to the haulers to load it up for the trip to Chicagoland in 7 days' time. Ooh, whoa, who was that in the background? Almost got up into the wall. I believe it was Ron Hacker, because Michael O'Brien is trying to take advantage of it. Side by side, they'll work. That was a close one for 21 machine. O'Brien has slid down the order, started up in the top 5, now running in 12th. The charge from Adam Blocker continues, by the way, if you were wondering. Plus 15, he's running in 11th as we're on lap 18 of today's action.
Could we be surprised by him being just at the cusp of the top 10? And he's basically faster than everybody else in the field, I think, bar Joshua Chin. He's faster by at least 1/10 or 2/10 of a second. Only Joshua Chin is faster than Adam Blocker at this current moment of the race.
And Blocker will now get on past Ryan Otis as caution is out for the first time today. And, does it involve Barrett Rolfe?
Looks like it.
Now, we must say that iRacing put out an update a couple of weeks ago. That's the ever-evolving nature of the iRacing service that really did loosen the severity that would require a caution to come out. And, well, I'm honestly a bit surprised that that's managed to trigger a caution, because Barrett Rolfe went for the 360, a perfect entry onto pit road, and we're under caution for the first time today.
Yeah, but I think it triggered because it's just right on the exit, and some cars sometimes go to the inside. So some people might see it as just a viable yellow flag, Arjuna. But as you see, Barrett tried to catch the car back. I think we can associate maybe the anti-roll bar or maybe the weight jacker might have been in the wrong setting at the current moment. But I said that would be a little bit risky for the guy, especially with the wind it is at the exit of some of those corners. But now we get into a point of the race that restarts at Pocono are tricky ones to do it because of the dirty air.
And it's a single file restart as well. Question now really, though, is do you come down to pit road working, what will it be, lap 22 coming back to the green flag? I would assume everyone.
Something like it.
I would assume everyone has to come down onto pit road.
Yeah, we're going to get our, I think, Indy-esque pit lane merge or something like that. It's going to be a very, very busy pit lane.
Well, we'll wait and see. That's the beauty of all types of sports. You can ask the question, the answer will reveal itself. So, first caution on the day, unfortunately breaks the no caution race that I was hoping for, but still on track, I would say, for one of the best races in terms of caution numbers that we've seen. Kraus is going to stay out there. That is interesting. The rest of the field is streaking on down onto pit road. Jason Brophy also elects to try and get some track position. Not entirely shocked by that call, given how things started for him. I think both cars, A, hoping for another caution, B, also maybe just thinking that from here, they can extend the runs and cut out a pit stop as compared to the rest of the field. Pit road, an extremely busy place. Who's going to win the race off of the lane? Looks like Andrew Kinsella will actually scamper out in front of Brian Carey. Robert Malechka still net third. Chris Fowler, Joshua Chin, no changes there. Also interesting to note, AJ Musselman has elected to stay out there with the rest of the cars. So 3 cars have elected not to come down to pit lane. This is interesting, and, well, they say never trust a commentator's math. They say never trust a commentator's pitch strategy. And just generally never trust a commentator because, well, like we said, commentators' curses, they are rather too common here at racespottv.
True that, especially Lorenzo Bonder's commentator's curse. But lately, Arjuna, I gotta say, you've been in races lately, and I've blessed you with my strategies. Therefore, you've been blessed by me. I think I want to take credit by 10%. But other than that, it's interesting that this call. Apparently, I believe that Kraus, Brophy, and Molsman might be coming in this pit stop because, not in this pit stop, but in this lap, just because of the fuel strategy stuff, and maybe get that extra percentage of rubber, maybe. But that's just about guess.
The muscle man? That's what I thought, peeling on in. For him, I would suspect that what he's trying to do is just have as much fuel in the tank as possible. It will make his final stops maybe a little bit shorter. Of course, now we're looking at what, a 56 lap run to the flag in what will be a 25 lap fuel window. So if you can extend it to 27, might not be the worst thing in the world if you are AJ Musselman. I kind of get what he's trying to do. I don't necessarily understand what Kraus and Brophy are trying to do.
Are they waiting for another restart maybe? Like, remember, the longest race we had, not the longest race, but the race with the most yellow flags usually happened when the restarts came in. Again, single file restart, lots of dirty air, lots of people trying to be aggressive and try to move up the field, so the attrition can build up over here. And I think, are they building up on that? Because if they build up on pitting in the next 4 or something laps, I don't know. It might be a shot in the foot, but then again, commentators talking about strategies, it never works.
I'm trying to think of a commentator whose strategies I trust, and, well...
other than Hugo Luis.
No. You can't even trust Hugo anymore. He's retired.
That's true. Bo? Nah.
But Bo's probably the best option, but since he is a member of racespottv...
And Dane, maybe. Dane Barrett.
No. You can't trust Dane.
Okay, fair point.
Because he's like us. He's a classic commentator and therefore has the classic commentator's curse just ready to go. Well, first caution on the day. Solo incident for Barrett Rolfe. Still finds himself on the lead lap, so not the worst situation. 2 cars out front yet to come down on pit road. We are racing once more in the Pocono Mountains. Don't you love the sound of a Dallara IR18 turned up to the max? Single file restarts mean the only battle for positions right now outside of the top 10. Connor Harrington was trying to make a move on Mike Rigney, just a little bit too far behind. Top 10, no changes. The King of Chins has been an aggressive mover so far on the day. Look at this, Chris Fowler getting the run out of turn 3. Will it open the door for Joshua Chin? No, it doesn't. Chin's going to come under attack from behind.
He does, but it manages to get away from it as Malecka, I think, lost a spot to Fowler. But what a race so far from Malecka, right? I think this is his 7th start in the Lionheart season, and so far he's already a winner back in Iowa. So I think I said with Phil Kraus, one of the best rookies so far in the season.
Could have also won at Motegi if we're being completely honest. He's just such a accomplished driver when it comes to speedway racing. Has still got a little bit of work to do, if we're being honest, when it comes to the road courses, but definitely always a factor when we are on the speedways, whether it be short track, whether it be intermediates like we'll have next time out from Chicagoland, or a super speedway like this one.
On the outside, Joshua Chin, that is bold.
Oh, you're right. Chin gets past Fowler. I wasn't even paying attention because I was trying to figure out who's going 3 wide down in towards turn 2. Galvin is going to try and scrape a couple of positions past. Stefan Larkamp, the wise one there, backing on out as Matt Taylor and Paul Jenkins squabble for 16th position.
Yeah, and because of that, of Larkamp backing out, kind of bring Mike Rasmus into this as well. But really good battle between these 5 cars. Between Matt Taylor, Paul Jenkins, Galvin, Larkamp, and now Rasmus is on the inside of Larkamp and might be able to make the move on turn number 1. No, he backs it away.
Caution, the better part of valor at this point in time. Of course, Mike Rigney, we should remember, defending race winner. Meanwhile, back out front, Malecka the 3rd, Chris Fowler juking it out, 6th and 7th positions. As they work themselves then down in towards turn 3. This is such an interesting corner, especially once you have the added pressure of dirty air playing a factor. We've already seen one car get up and smack the wall down. Will that happen again? Adam Blocker has to do it again. He's got to pass Ryan Otis as behind him. Matt Taylor, Ron Hacker, side by side. Still doesn't look as though the low line's where you want to be, but Blocker makes it work, and I tell you what, I think Blocker's going to have enough momentum to hold on for the time being. Gap starting to build. Brophy and Kraus in control. 2/10 separating the private label teammate. Andrew Kinsella has worked his way then 1 second behind. Brian Carey fourth. Joshua Chin now net third position. As we have to wait and see how the strategy is going to cycle out for the two cars are out front who didn't come down onto pit road. Here comes Rigney to the inside of Chris Fowler as there's also a move for the race lead. Phil Kraus trying to look to the low line to get past Jason Brophy.
I think they're making swap in terms of trying to save fuel as efficiently as possible. You're going to see now Brophy on the inside is going to take back the lead position from Kraus. But I think they're gunning for lap 30 pit stop.
So we're talking, what, 2 laps from now, 3 laps from now?
Yeah, two to 3 laps from now. And what happens is you shorten that pit, that stint lane.
Adam Blocker now tries to pounce. That is what a Lionheart champion does. Not 1, but 2 positions. Gets on past Chris Fowler. Adam Blocker now up to 9th position, plus 17 positions. Can he make it 18? He'll try and get past Robert Malechka. Manages to do so. Chris Fowler is going to try and follow him through. Incredible. Incredible stuff from Blocker, and he's right on the tail of his championship rival now.
Worst case scenario for Connor Harrington. How hungry is Adam Blocker? You know, he was about 400 meters away from his qualifying lap before timer ran out, and had he got that 400 meters, he would have been pole position. So that's how ready is Adam Blocker, and trying to still be within the top 5 all season long and keep that streak going.
Mike Grigney has also made some power moves, but now defends from Connor Harrington. Side by side in towards turn number 1. 14 degrees of banking. Harrington makes it work, but I think the target is now going to be closing up to Joshua Chin in front. 2 seconds the gap between Harrington and Chin. Behind them, Brian Beard, Malechka III, side by side. I wonder if Malechka III has some damage here. Uncharacteristically dropping back through the field at this point in time. Might also be that he's not on top of his in-car adjustments. Onto pit road come the private label Team Hype Machines. Phil Kraus, Jason Brophy, lap 30 like Lorenzo you did call out. And the good thing about Pocono, at least from these cars' perspective, Lorenzo, is total pit road time is about 35 seconds. So they'll stay on the lead lap. They'll use each other to build that momentum up and try and pull away from Andrew Kinsella, who will try and put a lap on them.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a very key scenario to play out right here, because right now they have about 50-something laps. Yeah, about 50 laps. So what they can do is basically split it at 25. Get maybe 26 on one stint or even 27. And they would have last laps in the entirety of the field. So if this plays out for them, that would be a huge call that might shift this race on its entire heels and boots.
Michael O'Brien gets on past Malechka. Slide continues, at least for the time being. Well, Mike Rasmussen and Stefan Larkamp dueling it out as well. The restart has really shaken things up. Joe Branch, Adam Frazier side by side just behind them. Pocono is such a fun track. It's a unique challenge. I think that puts it mildly. That challenge somewhat mitigated by the fact that we're racing in a fixed setup competition. Drivers on an even playing field. It's all up to them. What do they do with their inputs? What do they do with the in-car tools? How do they extract the most performance from their machines? A couple of cars have been on a rampage so far in today's race. Let's talk about the movers and shakers, left-hand side of your screen. Joshua Chin +8, Connor Harrington +10, of course the biggest mover, unquestionably. Adam Blocker, 20 positions up. 20 positions up. Incredible. At a track where people thought it might be hard to pass at, Blocker
Chin is pitting.
Oh, woo. What's the call from Chin here?
I am not sure. He basically pitted at everybody else. 13 laps on the stint like everybody else. is he comfortable that he has field to make it to the end?
It's 46 laps, give or take, from here to the end. I mean, yes, you can make it. Can he cycle out with his teammates? That's going to be crucial, because if he can get into that draft, I don't think he is going to be able to.
He might. He might.
I think he'll be too far behind here. Those cars are already up to speed. Chin is going to be a good 4 seconds, 5 seconds behind his teammates.
Are they going for a possible yellow flag strat? Have them all three? If they
all right, it's getting more
I don't know.
interesting. Barrett Rolf has come down onto pit road this time around. Oh, and he's wrecked again. Well, turn 3 is proving treacherous. This time, no caution out. Let's go ahead and catch the ever-present and all-seeing RaceSpottv replay machine. Rolf is already loose. Rolf is already sliding the rear end of that car. And it's deja vu. This time, no saving it. Slams hard into the inside wall.
Yeah, nothing he could do right there. It is a similar incident to what happened to him when he actually spun around on the first yellow flag. But the problem right here is that I think had he gone down on the weight jacker or maybe an inside roll bar, he could have saved it. But then making those last or split-second adjustments is so complicated that you don't know what to do. And very unfortunate to see him out of this race already.
And the issue with doing it mid-corner as well is that you'll upset the balance of the car often as well. So it's all about being in front of the car, not reacting, but instead being proactive to the car itself. As we take a look at the slide from Malechka that's continuing, I'm convinced that either he's in fuel-saving mode or more likely he's got some damage to his factory-backed machine. Interesting also to note that no Alexis Newsom in the field today, who's kind of bounced back off her.
What did Van der Sande?
Well, Van der Sande's not in the IndyCar Series, Lorenzo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's in the Speedway. I keep forgetting that.
Well, there's 3 competitions.
Lionhearts.
Yeah, exactly. There's 3 competitions, so you got to make sure you're on the top of your game to remember which driver is in which series. Tyler Graf, we're watching right now, who's got a tribute to Dan Weldon. 10 years it will be this weekend since that horrific crash at Las Vegas that took Weldon's life. And of course, legacy continues. We pay respects to Dan every time we go racing in the Lionheart Series. We also do have his children that continue to race, carrying that passion forward, part of the Andretti development program. And rumors circulating that there may be a Netflix documentary coming out very soon about the incredible life of Dan Weldon. So we'll be paying close attention to that. Hopefully a good way for those new to the sport to learn a bit more about the Lionheart himself. Graf gets on past Malechka the third, now up to 12th position. In front, Brian Beard, Chris Fowler resume the hostilities. They'll go side by side. Fowler will hold on the outside line. Michael O'Brien going to try and close the gap. Meanwhile, out front, it's a growing advantage for Brian Carey, for Andrew Kinsella. They're 2 seconds clear of Connor Harrington in third. And incredibly, absolutely incredibly, Adam Blocker up to fourth. The next target is a podium position.
Yeah, and he's still staying behind Connor Harrington right here. Slightly slower on the previous lap, and there is a gap that he has to build up to Connor, right about a second and a half to catch up to the private label team Hype. But on the net average, he's just as fast as everybody else. As now Kinsella makes a move in the lead in, they're swapping drafts. Just conserve that fuel and maybe, just maybe, contend with Brophy and Chin and Krause maybe at the end of the race.
This time around, halfway done through the HyperX Pocono 200. Connor Harrington peels off as well. The private label Team Hype machine is forming up and working on a strategy. The question is it going to pay off in their benefit, or it will come back to bite them in the worst way possible? Beard and Fowler still scrapping it out side by side. I'm trying to figure out the strategy, Lorenzo, because Joshua Chin is still 4 seconds behind Kraus and Brophy. So it hasn't really worked out for Chin. Is it going to work out for Connor Harrington? He's rolling himself off pit road. There comes Joshua Chin. I think Harrington might be able to build up his speed in time. Oh, no, he's going to be a couple of seconds behind as well. These guys have really not managed to form up in the way that I think they planned to.
Yeah, you know when you grab the strategy book and basically throw it out the window? That's what I'm probably going to do right now, because it is interesting, you know. It's a very unusual call. Will it pay off to the end, at the end for all 4 drivers? Unsure, because there is a whole lot of factors to play out in this race. And there's soon to be pit stopping, maybe the next 9 laps or so. But again, if they keep going like this on the long run, I can see Brophy and Kraus contending for the race. Shin and Connor might need something extra.
Yeah, they're going to need some help. No help currently required for Andrew Kinsella, for Brian Carey, swapping back and forth, building up the speed. Oh, do we have a caution imminent? Lionel Kalisto off the track and stopped on the inside. There's the caution that might swing things in the favor of private label Team Hype. So here we go. We'll take a look at what happened. This is at the conclusion of the incident, so we need to go back even further. That is significant damage to that IR-18, and it starts with a knockdown of the outside wall coming through the tunnel turn down to the inside, and even more damage. The Sector 5 machine of Lionel Kalisto right on board, and watch here. Just pushes up the track, doesn't see it in time, and well, from one side of the track to the other, ping-ponging across the walls. Caution, back out.
Is your traditional arrow wash pushing you to the outside of the wall incident, right? You get a Pocono. And if you are not sure that it's going to happen, you need to be on as fast as you can on the pedals to try to prevent that. And I think that Kalisto got caught off guard going to the outside wall. I think he predicted he wouldn't crash, and unfortunately he did crash and cause the second yellow flag. And we can basically call Connor Harrington a strategy genius.
Well, can we? That's the question.
True.
I really don't know, because the rest of the field was anyway going to come down onto pit road in a couple of laps' time. Harrington would have lost a whole bunch of positions. Maybe he's a prophet. I think that's what you meant to say. Maybe he's got that magic crystal ball out. And interesting, going back to what I said earlier, Lorenzo, where we had the change to the automated race control that made the system a little bit more lenient when it came to throwing the yellow flags. I'm a bit surprised that was a yellow.
Yeah, same. Especially because he's on the inside or at the... what is the best way to call that a run into that small patch of tarmac in the inside of turn number 3?
Access road.
Yeah, the access road, yeah. Apologies. As everybody goes into the pit lane, it's going to be a busy one. But everybody from private label Team Hype is going to stay out. Well, Arjuna, this becomes evident that it's going to be a one-stop race.
I got scared. You see on the right side of the screen, Phil Kraus slowed a little bit. Almost got rear-ended there. Pit road, an exceptionally busy place. A couple of cars do stay out. Malechka the third, Ricky Hardin, AJ Musselman, Phil Kraus, Jason Brophy, Joshua Chin, and Connor Harrington race off of pit road. Adam Blocker has cycled himself up into second in this group of cars. He'll be in front of Brian Carey. Mike Rigney tried to leapfrog. Doesn't work out that way. So, should be about 33, 34 laps left to go. A long caution laps here, so field will be hoping that it's 34 to go when we get back to the action.
Now, there is a question that lingers right here, Arjuna, is now the blockers behind Kinsella. He has a Connor Harrington, a Joshua Chin, a Jason Bruff, and Philip Crow, basically the entire private label Team Hype. And for Connor Harrington, I think he knows what he needs to do. He basically has to climb his teammates and have them act as blockers, and not pun intended right here, for to prevent Adam to get closer, right? what does the Power Slide team do? Do they support Blocker on this one, or they just let Adam take the charge and let the other guys go?
So Malechka, Harding, Musselman, at least a couple of them I would expect to come down this time around. Henry Bennett still 3 laps down. Musselman follows him in, so we know that's the call from Musselman. Get as much fuel into his car for the end of these stints. And with a 25-lap run, it is very much going to be a splash and dash if we can stay green from here to the end. Should also be noted, Lorenzo, the only cautions we've had have been really single-car incidents, so been a pretty fun race so far, and I think it's just going to intensify from here. I think the private label Team Hype guys have to go immediately, get out to the front, control the race from here, put the race in their own hands rather than waiting to see how the strategy unfolds.
Yeah, it's going to be basically an all-out war from start to finish right now. I think Robert Malechka and Ricky Hardin on this situation, they're just like supporting cast of what is about to ensue on the track, as they have 4 private label Team Hype and 3 Power Slides car behind. So it's going to be a very, very feisty fight once we get the green flag going.
And for those curious, private label Team Hype strategists, one of them is a sim regular. That would be Andrew Wood. We've seen him on many occasions here on racespottv. Second man, though, in the booth, private label Team Hype co-owner Tommy Milner. For those who don't know, Tommy competes in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship as part of the factory Corvette attack on the GTLM class. So campaigns in that Corvette C8R that you can drive here on the iRacing service. Second caution of the day. It comes to a close now. Malechka the third in control of the field as we get back underway in the HyperX Pocono 200. Well, not sure what happened there. They're almost 5 wide at the back. Out front, still single file as they throw themselves down into turn 1. The private label Team Hype cars fanning themselves out inside and outside. Andrew Kinsella has some fresher rubber. Already past Connor Harrington. Phil Kraus attacks Ricky Hardin.
And Brophy kind of blocks Kinsella going to the inside line, giving the draft to Connor Harrington. Like I said, it's going to be kind of an uphill climb battle for Kinsella and Blocker to get through. And they still have to build up the tire heat, but it's going to be a very tricky and interesting one to break down. 3 wide into the finish.
No, not 3 wide. 4 wide. Adam Blocker all the way on the inside. Jason Brophy wants none of that. He's going to back on out. He's almost going to make contact with Adam Blocker as well. That was a close one. Opens the door for Brian Carey to try and slip on through. Something happened, by the way, to the Necki racing car of Luis Gonzalez Nunez. We'll take a look at that in a moment's time. Harrington fends off the charge from Andrew Kinsella by going offensive on Ricky Hardin. These cars losing some time to those in front. Phil Kraus trying to run the very outside line. Almost a wall-riding situation for the Appleton, Wisconsin native.
Oh, Kinsella's struggling on the exit of out of 3.
Oh, what a wonderful sound as the cars rocket past our cameras situated on the start-finish straight. Kinsella almost turns into Blocker.
Oh!
Ricky Hardin loses control, regains control, and manages to hold on. We stay green. What a save by Ricky Hardin. Oh no! The struggles continue for Brian Carey. He gets together with Chris Fowler, somehow still under green.
Somehow, someway, but the struggles again for Brian Carey, always in the good positions in the track, but just cannot capitalize. We're going to look at the replay. What happened here, Arjuna?
Oh, well.
Oh, no.
I think that's a little bit on Brian. I tell you what, let's spool it back a little further. Let's watch the car control from Ricky Hardin here. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of the dreaded netcode there, because you did see that car just pop itself around. Not really much that it looked like the driver did. Now let's go take a look at what happened there between Carey and Fowler. Carey gets checked up behind Jason Brophy. Fowler to the inside. Carey tries to block Lade and, well, sends both of them into the wall.
And I think he also tried to use Kinsella as a way to, try to catch the draft and slingshot past the position, then try to set himself up to Brophy, but it kind of backfired on him as well. But more importantly, Krause, Malechka, and Chin have skyrocket off on Harrington and Blocker.
Malechka III has extended his run to 30 laps and counting, so expect him to be on pit road very shortly, but he might be in the danger zone at this point in time. With 30 to go, 29 this time around. We'll wait and see if the factory back driver dives down onto pit road for what he'll be hoping is the final time today. If we get a caution, it will definitely be the final time today, so maybe that's the strategy from Malechka III. We'll go pick up what happened to Luis Gonzalez Nunez as he comes out of turn 3. Okay.
Oh.
That was a close one for, I believe, Stefan Larkamp.
Larkamp on the inside.
Yep, Stefan Larkamp. Here's a look. Oh, that's definitely some weight jacker in the wrong place on that car. Wibble wobbles himself down into the outside wall. Day done for Luis Gonzalez Nunez.
Unfortunate. And it's a similar incident to what happened to Barrett Rolf, right? Try to counter-steer the car and just couldn't save it.
Yeah, no. Yes and no. Yes, they both lost it out of turn 3, but it looked like Rolf was sliding the rear end much earlier than what we saw just then from Nunez. So, not sure exactly what happened, but end result the same. As I believe Ricky Harden down onto pit road. So potentially some damage from the moment he had through turn 1. Incredible car control. That will go down in the awards show if we have a category for save of the year with 28 laps to go. If Robert Malechka can come down this time around, he's looking at a 27 lap run.
He's coming.
So pinning this lap, he's not going to have any draft assistance, and that might be his undoing. We will wait and see as Malechka slows the car down, locks the tires up very slightly, but onto pit road, followed in by Matt Taylor as well. Oh, it's a whole heap of cars that are coming in. So that's going to help Rob Malechka. That is going to help him out a treat now. He'll have a company of the likes of Matt Taylor, Paul Jenkins, Jason Galvin, and Tyler Graf. So it's going to be, what, a 5 or 6 car party that rolls off of pit road and now tries to play the strategy game. It is going to be a game where you don't want to be the lead car in this pack, though, Lorenzo, because it's very hard to save when you have clean air.
Yeah, it's very hard to save. You can make it up to maybe 27 laps, but you have to go into very different fuel modes as you're going to get into traffic. I think you're going to get those cars coming out of the pit lane. And one more thing, Connor Harrington found a new friend in Joshua Chin, but the thing is, it can backfire on him because Blocker is coming closely, and he's using that distance to build up the gap and get closer and closer.
There you can see, traffic does cycle into this leading pack. Tyler Graf is behind Harrington and Chin. Jason Galvin, Paul Jenkins in between Krause and Chin. With 26 laps to go here in the Pocono Mountains. You're watching racespottv as Joshua Chin, Jason Brophy now dive themselves onto pit lane. It's round 18 of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, the HyperX Pocono 200. The closing stages coming up next, live on RaceSpot. Welcome back to RaceSpot TV for coverage of the 2021 Lionheart IndyCar Series. We're live from the Pocono Mountains for the HyperX Pocono 200 with 22 laps to go. Pit stops are underway as the field comes on down for the last time in today's race. My name is Arjuna Kankipati. Alongside in the RaceSpot TV commentary booth is Lorenzo Bonder. A reminder that you can follow along with live timing and scoring by heading to racespot.tv/Indy to follow along with live timing powered by our partners at ATVO. This race has had it all. Green flag runs, the thrill of some incredible saves, the agony of trips down into the wall and in towards pit road. But Lorenzo, Adam Blocker has come down onto pit road this last time around. Where is he going to cycle out? There comes the private label Team Hype Machines. Blocker is right in the thick of the action.
Right on the thick, and might get overtaken by Chin, but might not get overtaken by Harrington right here, Arjuna. He does, but it's going to be really close.
He might have some better tires as well early in this run. 20 laps to go, under attack. Malechka the third tries to look past Adam Blocker, nothing doing there. Kinsella, Rigney, Razmas, the top three as they run. Brian Beard and Ryan Otis onto pit road this time around. 2 cautions in the race so far, on track for a record-breaking Lionheart IndyCar Pocono race. Previous low was 5 cautions. Gives you an indication of just how good this race has been. Blocker runs in the dirty air of Harrington in front. Malechka the third tries to take a look. Unable to pull alongside. Joe Branch into pit road this time around. A pole position winner. Still runs out front. He's got some draft. He's got some dirty air. Depending on how you look at it, it's a benefit. It's a curse. But in through turn 2, Kinsella. When does he come down, Lorenzo? 19 laps to go. 18 this time around.
Yeah, 19 laps to go. If he goes the full length, the thing is, he gets a shorter run, but that shorter run might not compensate to get towards the end of the race. We had races that he ended with yellow flags. I think we had 3 races that he ended with yellow flags. So you cannot leave it up to chance. You need to do a strategy that works out and pays it out for the end. And I think Kinsella, because he's right in the middle of traffic, he needs to pit into.
Trying to get a lap time indication for him, but it's hard because, well, technical issues are rather frequent for Andrew Kinsella. So lost lap time, according to our timing software, 5 seconds. Definitely not a lap around the 2.5 mile.
Record.
Yeah, that would be a lap record by some margin. I mean, we're talking about speed of light kind of thing there. As here we go, Harrington to the inside of Joshua Chin. This is for 7th on track at 1.8 seconds. Behind Philip Kraus. Kraus is in control, I tell you right now, Lorenzo. I think it's going to be hard for anyone to challenge Kraus. If Kinsella nails his pit stop, he'll emerge from pit road side by side with Kraus. But of course, Kraus will be up to speed. Kinsella is going to cycle out, I'd suspect, behind even Brophy and Malechka here.
Yeah, possibly. And I think right now, Adam Blocker needs a friend, a teammate or something of the nature to contend with both private label Team Hypes that are all swapping drafts. And the worst thing is, they are making the life horrendous for Adam Blocker. He has to take a line that avoids the dirty air of either car, and by doing that allows Philip Kraus to extend the gap that he has on all 3 cars.
They're trying to swap though. Is it going to work in their favor? Last time around, these cars are about 1/10 of a second slower than Kraus in front, so that gap is extending. It's not coming down at this point in time. Still hard to get an accurate read on the pace of Kinsella, but that gap is now 32.5 seconds between Kinsella and Kraus, so does look as though this call to stay out not necessarily going to work in the favor.
Kinsella pitting.
So Kinsella down this time around, promotes Rigney into the race lead. On board with Harrington, now in front of Chin. They'll swap back and forth. Kinsella needs to execute, and of course the limiting factor on the pit stops are not the amount of fuel, but instead the tires. So here, even though Kinsella will get up on the jacks with just 15 laps to go, There goes Kraus. There goes Chin. Harrington across the line as well. Kinsella releases himself from the pit limiter. Should emerge in between Jason Brophy and Robert Malechka III. Looks like once more our pole sitter will not visit HyperX Victory Lane. So we'll have to wait and see, but maybe the private label Team Hype strategy has worked out. Side by side, Paul Jenkins and Joe Branch, two veterans of the series, going back and forth. This is for 13th on track. Might also be for a pace in the top 10 once the strategy cycles out.
And plus, I think this is important for Joe Branch to try to make up the moves and get closer to that top 10, because with Carey out of this race and the private label Team Hype guys, most specifically Harrington and Brophy, right within the top 10, the only driver within that top 10 is Kinsella, and he needs all the point they can get to try to get closer to the team standings, because time is running out for them as well. The gap is not short. It's more than 200 points, 275 or something like that, if I recall correctly. So it's a big one. It's doable, but then again, you need to maximize those points.
I think that Brian Carey's incident with Chris Fowler has kind of put to bed any sort of hopes of Adrenaline Motorsports Red.
Possibly.
Yeah, regaining their organization team championship, but time has all the answers. Here's a look at the live points situation, and of course this doesn't factor in the drop weeks, so we're going to have to wait and see exactly how that plays out. 3 drop weeks in a 22 race season. Battle for third is going to close on up, that is for sure, given that Henry Bennett runs in 23rd position. He's still out there on track and circulating, a little bit down on speed. Not lost his optimism to try and get whatever points he can from this situation, but as it would stand, Chin and Kinsella would close on up. Ryan Otis would be up there as well. Kinsella is trying to fight with Jason Brophy for valuable championship points. Mike Rigney has come down onto pit road, our defending race winner. Kinsella still inside, gonna try and make it stick through turn 1. 14 degrees of banking. Will he slide up the track and pinch Jason Brophy? He tries to, but Brophy has just enough speed. They'll be side by side in towards turn number 2.
And he gave him just enough room to Brophy get on the outside. But oh!
Kinsella goes Tokyo drifting around turn number 2. Great car control.
300 kilometers per hour.
Great car control, but not what you want, because now those tires are going to be screaming in agony. Let's go ahead and take a look at the racespottv replay machine and ride on board with the Canadian heading in through the tunnel turn. Here we go. Just watch the hands here. Gets down on the apron, below the apron, below that yellow line, so that's what actually causes that car to pitch around violently, but fortunately not violent enough to send him for a toss. Kinsella still trying to fight side by side with Brophy. This time it's a little bit further in front for Jason Brophy as they come in through turn 3. Kinsella has the move done. 1.5 seconds now the gap to the next car in the queue. Eurobeat turn to maximum for Andrew Kinsella. He's now got to get his defensive shoes out.
And with time to go here, Arjuna, you know what surprises me the most? Not only this battle, but the patience out of Adam Blocker to get closer. He cannot get closer, but if he's trying to get closer, what is he thinking to get closer and make the move?
I think at this point, Blocker is just going to be happy to finish up there in the top 5. What I would say, as Mike Rasmussen is now onto pit road, the last of the cars to pit, so really does leave it to the very end of the run. I would not be surprised if Blocker goes for this. If he can close that gap to Chin and Harrington in front. This is what we like. We like rivalries, right? Lorenzo,
we like drama.
We like drama, that is for sure. But private label Team Hype, this was the position they were in 1 week ago at Mosport. Kraus, Chin, Harrington. That was the top 3. And I think it's fair to say, Connor Harrington was a little bit aggressive when it came to defending from Blocker behind. He really made sure that it was Blocker who had the impetus to have to back out of various moves to make sure they didn't crash in those closing stages. I don't think Blocker will have forgotten about that. I think Blocker is going to try and make this pass stick and try and make sure that he stops the private label Team Hype momentum.
I think he does because from what I got from post-race chatter, Blocker wasn't happy what Connor did on his hard drive to prevent Adam Blocker to move up. So I think there is a fire behind Adam Blocker's eyes to try to get closer to Connor Harrington and contend for the move. But then again, we saw last time by what a private label Team Hype versus Adrenaline Power Slide battle happened, but specifically between Chin and Blocker, right, Arjuna?
We did, and now it must be said, it took 6 races for Kraus to win his first Lionheart IndyCar Series race. Looking pretty odds-on to make it 2 in a row. 2.7 seconds clear. 6 laps to go this time around. Blocker is coming on strong. Kinsella is coming on stronger. Now just 4 tenths behind his Adrenaline Motorsports teammate is that green and silver machine. He's almost got 10 lap fresher tires than both Chin and Harrington. We'll wait and see what the value of those tires is. As across the line, 6 laps to go.
Now Kinsella makes the move on Blocker.
Well, that's the team game, I think. That's Blocker knowing that he doesn't have enough to try and fight with the private label cars in front. He set the task to the Canadian Andrew Kinsella to close that gap up and try and stop the private label Team Hype stranglehold. In through turn 2, Chin and Harrington still trying to swap back and forth, but they're still slower than Kraus out front. Kraus building a house here in Pocono, being a very strong competitor since he's joined the series, but this really a breakout performance for him, making the strategy work even if maybe not being in the prime track position earlier in the race. Cerebral racing from the Appleton, Wisconsin native. 5 to go this time around. Kinsella closes, now 4 tenths behind Joshua Chin.
And I think the strategy of Blocker letting Kinsella go is actually working out. 41.999, so a 42 flat for Kinsella, and he's getting closer and closer to those Power Slide boys, Private Label Team Hype boys, and you can see right at the back wing of Joshua Chin, a very, very feisty Andrew Kinsella getting closer and closer, but the problem is Pocono has a thing called arrow wash.
You're just trying to start some drama here, aren't you? Mixing up.
Of course, I gotta.
Mixing up Power Slide and Private Label Team Hype. I mean, you're just trying to start some drama.
Hashtag content. I gotta.
Hashtag content. Quality content here on racespottv. Well, 4 to go. Kraus 3 seconds clear. There is no stopping Kraus at this point in time. Question is, who will join him on the podium? Kinsella, a pole position sitter, is looking stronger and stronger, corner by corner. Out of turn 3 this time around, it will be 3 laps to go, 7.5 miles. I wouldn't be surprised if Kinsella not only gets 3rd, but sneaks his way up to 2nd as well.
What about Brophy, though? Last few laps, he's getting closer and closer by Blocker. Now, 4 tenths, nearly 4 tenths of a second faster than Blocker in the previous lap. Blocker might lose the streak over the top 5.
We'll see. Brophy, of course, had technical issues that meant he missed the start. For both Blocker and Brophy, it's been a remarkable recovery drive from the both of them. Kinsella all over the rear wing now of Connor Harrington. 2 laps to go this time around. What a race. Pocono delivers every time you put any sort of car around it, particularly when it's an Indy car. This time around, Kinsella's close enough to use the draft. Harrington too close to Chin to try and defend. Chin defends. Kinsella up to 2nd. Incredible move. I said those tires were going to work a treat. And well, incredible stuff. He's now got to defend. 1.5 laps to go.
Wow, what a move from Andrew Kinsella. You pay for 1, you get 2 in trade. What an amazing move. Move for the race. Obviously for Andrew Kinsella, and he has the tires to back that up, that defense. So I don't think that Chin and Connor has a car enough to get closer and make the move. But that kind of brings the Blocker into the fray as well.
That's the 2-for-1 special for Andrew Kinsella. And you're right, Blocker is now only about 3 tenths, 2 tenths behind Joshua Chin. Chin has been left in the tire tracks of Connor Harrington. Harrington's trying to chase down Kinsella. Blocker trying to attack Joshua Chin. It is all happening. It's adrenaline versus power slide. I've just done the same thing. Oh my word. It's adrenaline versus private label team hype. These two cars fighting for what is 4th position out on track. Blocker has managed to get his nose in front. But Phil Kraus, it took 6 races to take his first Lionheart IndyCar Series win. He does it now, back-to-back. Phil Kraus wins the HyperX Pocono 200. Build a Kraus here at Pocono. Kraus played the strategy game to perfection. Wins by almost 3 full seconds. Incredible. Incredible stuff from Philip Kraus. Andrew Kinsella from pole position fought his way back up through the field with a late race pit stop to get to second. Connor Harrington will complete our podium positions. Just 2 cautions on the day. This race flew on by. And what a race it was. Lorenzo, 9 races, 9 different winners for the Lionheart IndyCar Series in the Pocono Mountains.
Yeah, apparently they don't like poles winning this race, and they like single-time winners. We didn't get a 2-time winner in this track, but I think more importantly for Phil Kraus, I think 6 starts in the season, 2 wins, I think 3 top 5s, and more importantly, he joins Adam Blocker as the only not only multiple, but the only back-to-back winner this season with Adam Blocker. The privately with Team Hype Black Guy individual, driving like a madman out of the Pocono track and getting rewarded with a win.
He's not going to burn the house down, apparently. That's good, because he's built the house here at Pocono. There we go. Some well-earned donuts from the Appleton, Wisconsin native. He'll visit HyperX Victory Lane for the 2nd time in October. Some pretty good form on those donuts as well. Great to see the celebrations from the private label Team Hype. Let's go ahead then and take a look at our Carnox race results. 80 laps, just 2 cautions on the day. What a race it was. 3 seconds clear. Phil Kraus takes the victory. Back-to-back in October. Can he go back-to-back-to-back in 7 days' time from Chicagoland? Andrew Kinsella finishes in 2nd then. Pole position sitter had to fight his way back up to the front, but a great drive, a great last couple of laps to pass 2 cars in 1. 2-for-1 special got him 2nd. Connor Harrington up to 3rd position, 11 positions gained from where he started, but Adam Blocker didn't set a qualifying lap time. You cannot stop the Lionheart King. 22 positions gained to continue that incredible run of top 5 finishes that dates all the way back to September of 2020. Joshua Chin completes the top 5 with Jason Brophy right behind him. Robert Malechka III slid back through the field at some point during this race, but manages to still hold on for 7th. Mike Rigney, Ryan Otis, and Mike Rasmas complete the top 10. Jason Galvin, Joe Branch had a duel all the way to the end. They finished 11th and 12th, while Tyler Graf, Paul Jenkins, and Ron Hacker round out the top 15. Adam Frazier, AJ Musselman, and Stefan Laukamp, the final cars on the leading lap through 18th positions. Ricky Harding and Matt Taylor, 19th and 20th. With Brian Beard, Michael O'Brien, the other cars to finish 1 lap adrift. Early issue for Chris Lanini caught Henry Bennett up. He finishes down in 23rd, 3 laps off the pace, while Luis Gonzalez Nunez down in 24th. Brian Carey, Chris Fowler, they got mixed up with one another heading down in towards turn number 2. Lionel Calisto lost it by himself, as did Barrett Rolfe and Chris Lanini. They round out our 29 car field. Fastest lap did also go to Phil Kraus, a 41.634. That's about 1 second slower than our race lap record that dates back to season 5, a 46.63. So those are your race results here from Pocono, and it's time to head down into our HyperX post-race show. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. So we are still waiting to get that driver from HyperX Victory Lane to join us in the RaceSpot TV commentary booth. And he has now made his way here. Let's dial up our race winner waiting in HyperX Victory Lane, Philip Kraus, back-to-back victories. It took you 6 races to get that first win, but now you are on a roll. And I think the only question I have for you is, how did that strategy work out for you? Because we really didn't know how it was going to play out.
Yeah, it was definitely a really aggressive strategy call, but after the initial start when we had that short run, I don't remember how long it was exactly, I think it was 15 to 20 laps at the start of the race, Chin and I, we got up to about 5th and 6th, and then we found ourselves pretty stalled out, so and Jason was stuck further back because he had a lag issue and wasn't able to join initially, so it was pretty straightforward for him to stay out, but I was like, you know what? This could work. So I stayed out with him. He suggested it initially, so big props to him for suggesting that, and never really looked back from there. It played beautifully into our hands the rest of the race, and really got to thank Jason for making that call for us.
You're not meant to say that. You're meant to say you're the strategy genius, and it was all your it was all your play. Talk to us now about the rest of October. Chicagoland in 7 days time. Can you make it 3 wins in the month of October?
Not looking forward to Chicagoland too much. My experience there in the IndyCar has been massive pack race, and that's not really my forte. But we'll definitely try. I'm not racing for points, so it's win or bin, and 2 wins so far. So maybe we can make it a 3rd. We'll have to see.
What's the rest of the year holding for you then to complete off this championship? Of course, you're looking very strong, but I know you're competing in a couple of other sports car championships along with the private label Team Hype. How excited are you to be rolling out in multiple Delaras over the rest of this year?
Oh yeah, we're super pumped to make SCO this season. That was we squeaked it in barely. I don't remember how close it was, but it was real close. But really looking forward to race with those Cowboy drivers. I don't think I'm on their level yet, but I'm hoping that running this series with them will help me improve a lot as a driver and hopefully just get better and better.
Congratulations on the win, Phil. We'll see you then in Chicagoland in 7 days' time.
Thank you very much.
So that was Philip Kraus, winner once more in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. Let's dial up RaceSpot's own Andrew Kinsella. Andrew, pole position. We know you're not necessarily a qualifying specialist, but that worked out very nicely for you. Unfortunately, unable to convert that into a 2nd victory here at Pocono, but did look like a really fun race where strategy played out very interestingly, and you had very, very brave pass, getting 2 for 1 down the inside and towards turn 1 in the closing stages.
Yeah, I seem to always come second when I get on pole, so I've only gotten 2 poles and I've come second each time, so take for that what you will. But yeah, it was a very interesting race. Car was great for most of the race. We had good settings. First stint I was just cruising. Brian and I were just sort of saving fuel, trying to make the green flag number, and then all of a sudden caution comes out. Private label Team Hype, credit to them, they did some really good strategy there. They did some short fills, made their cars really fast for a large portion of the stint, helped Kraus get way out front, and I knew that after that last caution I needed to do something a little bit different there, and yeah, so when I saw everyone peeling off like I was pretty sure that they would have to, I knew that my only shot there was to try and go long and draft up behind the guys who had already pitted, and I was monitoring my lap times and I hadn't dropped off too far, so I figured that I could get out at least within draft of all the guys that I needed to get out with, and worked out exactly right. Got out behind Brophy, and then was able to draft up and pass a whole bunch of people, and that was a fun pass with 2 to go there.
And now that battle for 3rd in the championship is going to heat on up because your Adrenaline teammate Henry Bennett really didn't have the best of runs, getting mixed up in an incident with no real responsibility on himself. It's going to be a 3-way fight at the very least, with 4 races to go heading out of Pocono. What are your expectations? Chicagoland up next, then 2 road courses, Road America and Belle Isle, before our double points finale at the Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, I always seem to be fighting for 2nd or 3rd in this championship. Can never quite catch Adam in any of these things, but it's just I've been here before. It's one race at a time. You've got to take it just lap by lap, race by race, and Chicagoland should be very interesting. I like racing there, but at the same time, it's one of those tracks where if you make a very small mistake, you can end your day. So it's going to be a very interesting race. It has the potential to shake things up even further. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But overall, very pleased with how today went. Again, didn't quite have enough to get back up to Kraus, but it was a fun race nonetheless, and hopefully it was enjoyable for you guys to watch. And shout out to everyone at Adrenaline. We worked so well in the lead up to this race, getting our settings right, and that's what helped me get the pole as well. Was we found a good set of settings for the in-car tools for qualifying. So shout out to all guys at Adrenaline for that.
And one more question. Talk to us about the setup itself, because you are the setup master at the Lionheart Series. Pocono is an interesting challenge to try and build a setup for 3 very different corners. How did that work out from your perspective?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging place to get a setup going for. I found that the car was working well enough through 1 and 2, and 3 was a little bit more of a challenge. It tended to take off on the exit, depending on what your settings were. But the nice thing is you can adjust corner to corner in this, especially at this track where you have so much straightaway in between corners, especially in between turn 3 and turn 1, so you can run different settings on each corner. But the main thing for a place like this is just to just to have a car with lots of downforce. So we were running a whole bunch of underbody downforce, and the car was set up with a lot of rake to try and maximize the downforce from that underbody as much as I could, because you do get a lot of aero push here, but it is also very aero dependent. So it's definitely a very challenging track to set up for, but I think that the car raced pretty well, and hopefully it was a good race.
It was a fun race. Just 2 cautions made it very intriguing. Pit strategy always makes things even more exciting. Congratulations on second, Andrew. We'll see you in 7 days from Chicagoland.
Thanks, Arjuna.
So that was Andrew Kinsella, RaceSpot's own. Let's bring in the final podium position finisher. Connor Harrington is standing by with Lorenzo Bonder.
So, Connor, first and foremost, congratulations at P3. But, of course, I think at the end of the race, it does become a little bit bitter because of that move of Andrew Kinsella. But at the end of the day, P3, considering the fact that the strategy you guys from the private label team Hype called, we kind of admit it was a little bit weird, but were you concerned with the strategy when you guys made that call to stop at the middle of the race and be far from the guys of the rest of the pack?
No, not really. I think we'd seen enough data this week to know that that was going to be a viable option if the cautions had fall that way. It really helped that we had Jason and Phil stay out after that first yellow. And yeah, I think we knew that as long as we avoided a ill-timed caution, we would cycle out to the front, and that undercut in the middle gained us the track position, because it was hard to pass tonight. So the only way you had to make some track position is artificially. So we were able to do that.
Right, and talking about the standings itself, you do get a little bit of a cushion, closed out the gap about 4 points on a block. You're still far out, about 96 points. Now, going to the final 4 races of the season, if you have to pick a track out of the 3, because Auto Club doesn't count, which of the 3 tracks kind of blends your driving style the best?
I think we're excited for Detroit. We won an Indy Open race. Actually, we won an Indy Open race at Detroit last season. We won an Indy Open race this season at Long Beach. So we like the street tracks. We're very comfortable where we are in the championship. I know it's kind of a bummer that it's not closer, but that double points race and if something goes wrong with Adam, which anything can, we want to be there to capitalize it and make it interesting at the end. We're not going to just let them walk it all the way to the bank. We're going to make them earn it.
Right on, and that's the spirit that we need to see. And finally, I know you're just like Philip Krause, you guys. You are busy with some sports car competition. How do you manage the schedule now moving on in this busy season, not only with Lionheart, but with the other commitments that you have to do?
Yeah, it's really great. Private label Team Hype has been expanding. we have a really great endurance program, especially with it really helps when you have Tommy Milner on your team too. You're really knowledgeable about all that stuff. So yeah, things have been great. We have IVRA, we qualified for SCO. It's been very busy and very hectic, but we enjoy it. We'll see how that rolls on to the winter. We've got great partners in Ethica and Tomahawk Shades, and and all the support that they give us. So we're looking forward to a busy winter of racing. We can't really thank everybody on the team enough for all that they do and the opportunities they give us to show up here on RaceSpot and come out here and race.
Right on, Connor. And once again, congratulations on P3. Can't wait to see what you do on Chicagoland.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
So that was Connor Harrington. Brings our post-race interviews to a close. One more look at our schedule, Lorenzo. 4 races left. It's been a whirlwind adventure since we started in March. Lionheart's first season here on racespottv, and what a season it's been. Chicagoland in 7 days' time. That's going to be a thrilling race. 2 road courses in November, and the first week of December, our double points finale. I'll ask the same question that you kind of asked to Connor. Which of these next 4 races are you looking forward to the most?
It's going to be an interesting one. I've never driven, of all three ones, I've never driven Chicagoland. I don't know how the groove of the track is, to be very honest with you. But from what I heard from the community, it's a track that has mixed feelings for some of the drivers. Some people like it, some people don't like it. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. But in my opinion, I like Belle Isle. I'm probably going to go with Connor right there. I like those city tracks where you can push the most, be within the limit of, making it or breaking it. So it's going to be probably, of all 3 races, the most interesting one to break down.
And that and all of your Lionheart competitions live on racespottv. Before we say goodbye, let's take the time to thank the various partners that make all of this happen. For sim racers, the buttkicker Gamer 2 or simulation kit as the missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism to your sessions. By accurately responding to in-game audio, you can feel the track like never before, providing increased vehicle handling and faster lap times. Are you ready for the most immersive experience in sim racing? For more information, visit thebuttkicker.com, and don't forget to use the promo code LION2021 for 20% off all orders. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. The SimXperience AccuForce Pro V2 is the premier professional simulation racing steering system. The key to its incredible realism is a groundbreaking direct drive motor control system, providing a driving experience that's second only to the real thing. For more information on the entire SimXperience ecosystem, visit simexperience.com. Minus 273 is the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of a breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz, and don't forget to use the promo code Minus 273 LHRS15 for 15% off all orders. Looking for entertaining sim racing content? Look no further than the DMLC Racing channel. Follow former Lionheart Retro Series Driver of the Year Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all while providing commentary sure to make you laugh, cry, or both. Follow along by subscribing to the DMLC Racing channel on YouTube and like his Facebook page at the DMLC Racing channel. And it's not just them, but so many more that make all of this possible. To learn more about the partners of the Lionheart Racing Series, visit lionheartracingseries.com, where you can also find out more about the 3 different competitions the Lionheart sanctioning body puts on. 7 days from now, the Lionheart IndyCar Series heads to Chicagoland. To keep up to date with all things Lionheart, follow them on social media, while ESTV has you covered for your esports needs. RaceSpot TV has all your sim racing action covered, make sure to hit that red subscribe button on YouTube, the bell next to it as well, to get notified every single time we go live with a great sim racing series that we get to cover. From the Pocono Mountains, though, it's Phil Kraus, a 2-time winner in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. Thank you for watching racespottv and coverage of the HyperX Pocono 200. We'll see you in 7 days' time from Chicagoland.